So let's talk about something that can literally make or break a real estate deal, the appraisal. It doesn't matter if you're buying, selling, or refinancing, getting an accurate valuation is everything. And guess what? That all comes down to hiring the right person for the job.
Right? This is the million-dollar question, sometimes literally. Your home's value is on the line, so how in the world do you find the right appraiser? It can feel like looking for a needle in a haystack, but with stakes this high, you have to know how to spot a real pro.
And I'm not being dramatic here. An appraisal that's too low can completely sink a sale or a refinance. On the flip side, one that's too high could mean you're overpaying by a long shot. We're talking about real money here, your money.
Okay, so to get this right, here's our game plan. We're going to start with the absolute must-haves, credentials and experience. Then we'll get into why local knowledge is king. After that, we'll break down the process and the price, and we'll wrap it all up with a super simple checklist you can use right away. All right, first things first. Before we even think about your specific property, we have to talk about the fundamentals. You need to know if the appraiser you're considering is actually qualified to do the job in the first place. This should be the very first question out of your mouth. It's a simple yes or no, and let me be clear, this is completely non-negotiable. An appraiser absolutely must be licensed or certified by the state to even practice legally. No license, no conversation, period.
And don't just take their word for it. Ask for their license number. You can then pop over to your state's website, punch in the number, and see for yourself if it's active. You can also check if they've had any disciplinary actions taken against them. Think of it as a quick, essential background check.
Okay, now that we've covered the basics, here's a little insider tip. Look for professional designations. These are basically extra credentials that show an appraiser has gone above and beyond the minimum requirements. It's a huge sign of their commitment to their craft.
For instance, if you see the letters MAI after their name, that's a big deal. It means they're a member of the Appraisal Institute, which is a really respected credential. You might also see SRA for residential specialists. You can think of these designations as an advanced degree in appraising. This also brings up another important point. Are they doing this full-time? A full-time appraiser lives and breathes the market every single day. They're just going to have a better feel for the subtle shifts in trends that someone who only dabbles in it part-time might miss. It's all about that total immersion.
So, credentials get them in the door. But this next part, this is what separates the good from the great. We're talking about deep, specific, local knowledge. In the industry, they call it geographic competence. And trust me, it is an absolute game changer. This might honestly be the single most important question you ask. You don't just need a random appraiser. You need someone who knows your neighborhood, your school district, and the market for houses just like yours. Generic experience just won't cut it here.
So what does real local expertise look like? Well, for starters, they should be a member of the local MLS so they have access to the best sales data. They should really understand the little quirks and trends of your specific neighborhood. And, just as important, they should be willing to actually listen to you about what makes your property unique.
And here's a super simple, practical tip for you. If you're looking at an appraiser whose office is, say, 50 miles away from your house, you should probably pause and ask why. It's not always a deal breaker, but it can be a pretty big red flag that they might not have that on-the-ground knowledge you really need.
Okay, so you've checked their credentials and you've confirmed they're a local expert. Now it's time to get into the nuts and bolts, how they actually do the appraisal, and, of course, how they get paid. This is where ethics become really, really important.
Don't be afraid to ask about their process. You have every right to know how they plan to figure out what your home is worth. A true professional will have no problem walking you through their approach, whether it's looking at recent sales or something else.
Now, for most of us with regular homes, the comparable sales method is king. This is where they look at similar homes in your area that have sold recently. There's also the cost approach, which is about replacement cost, and the income approach, which is more for rental properties. They'll probably use a mix, but those comparable sales, they usually carry the most weight.
Let's talk money. This question isn't just about finding out the price. It's about making sure their fee structure is ethical, because the wrong kind of payment can create a really bad incentive for the appraiser.
Okay, listen up because this is the biggest, brightest red flag you'll ever see in this process. If an appraiser ever tells you they charge a percentage of the final appraised value, you run. End the conversation right there. It is a massive conflict of interest because it literally incentivizes them to inflate the value just so they can make a bigger fee.
So, the takeaway is simple. Stick to ethical fees. A flat fee is the most common, and it's super transparent. You know what you're paying up front. An hourly rate can also work, especially for more complicated jobs, but a fee based on a percentage of the value? Absolutely not. Never.
Whew, we've covered a lot. So now, let's pull all of this together into a simple, powerful checklist that you can use to hire someone with total confidence. And here it is, your 5 must-ask questions. If you ask these, you'll cover credentials, local expertise, their data sources, ethical fees, and even the timeline. An appraiser who can confidently answer all 5 of these is probably one you can trust.
And this is why this whole thing matters so much. It can be tempting to just go with the cheapest or the fastest option you can find. But in the world of appraisals, fast and cheap almost always leads to an inaccurate report that can blow up your whole deal. Asking these questions is your best defense against that.
I love this quote because it really gets to the heart of it. That fee you pay an appraiser isn't just another expense. You're not just buying a piece of paper. You're investing in certainty for what is probably your single biggest asset.
So there you have it. You now have the tools to go from just being a client to being a truly informed consumer. You are totally equipped to go out there and find an expert who's going to get the job done right. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.